Because now we see we have been provided with something called reason and understanding. We now have the power of reason to turn around. And by that, we are then provided with the basis for our own growth. Hey, remember what we said down here about this triangle? There are three things. Let's say there's a certain growth potential that's involved here. There's a certain reweaving and a certain nourishment. These same three ideas now operate here in the realm of reason and this triangle. Therefore, there's a different kind of growth for man. He then can remake himself. That's what he's doing by getting out of this bound existence. And therefore, he finds a new way to grow and a new kind of nourishment. Ah, now, how does he do that? Well, that means that he can only do that by continuously working on himself. But what you need is a model. You need a model. Archetype. Because one way of working is that when you're trying to emerge from the locked nature, fated nature, and you're trying to get your freedom to emerge from it by seeking causes and trying to find out what maintain that fated existence, as you seek the dissolution of the forces of fate, you're moving towards something. The degree, therefore, that you also are provided with models and archetypes to guide, that will sharpen what it is you want to separate yourself from. Because a lot of it, you don't even know what it is, what's part of nature or fated and what is not. So therefore, new models and archetypes come in here. Where does that come from? Once you're into the realm of the provider of reason, you see, then these two triangles become rather close, don't they? Because remember what we said, there must be a model. There must be a model for this creation. So in this way, there must be a model. We must have a model for our own creation, reworking, recreating. Now, how do you do it? What is that spiritual practice and discipline that brings that about? Because you need a model or an archetype, right? You need a practice, and you have to have a practice then that can awaken the bounds, ideally awaken this, surface this. You see, you can't deal with something that you don't see or can't recognize, so you have to find a way to surface one's own chains. Right? Because fate is all connected. It's chained. It's being chained. Right? Chained. Sometimes this is called Prometheus. See, when Prometheus was chained in the Caucasus on that mountain, right? That's fate. He was fated. That was his fate. Zeus gave him that fate. Hey, you stole the fire and gave mankind the arts. Well, then you will be chained and fated. There's your existence. And therefore, the whole struggle of Prometheus is to remove the chains. Well, we therefore need to look for where to get the models and the archetypes, where to get the practices. Well, luckily enough, therefore, keeping this now, we can therefore create another one. Let's create another one. Because what we're coming to is this rather simple analogy. Providence is to fate as we can say eternity is to time. Right, is to time. We can say providence is to fate as freedom is to being bound, chained, to use the image we had before. We can say providence is to fate as a model, a self-conscious model. A self-conscious model is to an imposed model and order. Right? This is self-revealed, as the other is imposed by nature. Nature is fixed. And since it's fixed, it's an ordered system. This is a very ordered system. It shows the whole thing is rational in the sense that it's all ordered, but it's fixed and locked. Therefore, providence rules fate. Providence rules fate. It controls fate. It's a rational but rigid structure. Now, that means, right, if man then can emerge, going back to our man for a moment. All right, now we're now saying man, to remove the chains that bind him. He has to be able to see what binds him. Right, you have to discover what it is. Right, you have to know the causes, what maintains in its dissolution. You have to discover that. Well, to sharpen that ability, if you then have a model or archetype, you can then contrast this with your condition and seek to make changes. Hey, that's this. See, you're focusing on a model. You're focusing on a model, and as a result of that, you're now going to create something. What you're going to create here, though, is a purification. You're going to try to get rid of the chains that bind. Well, here's the problem. It's a simple problem. Is there anything beyond purification? That's all that's needed? That's all that's needed, is just a catharsis, a purification? Might there not be also a need for perfection? Because if there's a need for perfection, then there's something other than a purifying that we've been talking about that must be at work. Well, in Proclus and in Plato, the idea of perfection is a very interesting idea. It's not that you have to go out and do something in addition. You have to be able to hold and maintain your highest vision. That's perfection. It's not doing something in addition, but it's trying to discover how to hold on and maintain your highest vision. That's the goal. That's the goal. Because we can always slip out of wherever we are and find the comfort of the old and the familiar, and that's the problem. Now, if this is part of nature, you see, if this is part of our universe, and not just a mere illusion, then there's something in our very nature that's struggling to try to bring about a greater degree of growth and perfection. That means there's something in the nature of the universe which is good and seeks to bring about a goodness. Well, not only that, but it looks like it, in doing that, it looks like it's able to use, see, it's able to use this model, use it as an artist would use it to create. That means that there is